happening, my debt-free millionaires, or hopefully future debt-free millionaires? Hey, this is Zach Edwards with another episode of the Debt-Free Millionaire podcast and personal finance course. So that's right, this season is all about personal finance. Next season will be about real estate. So stay tuned. We're going to teach you everything you need to know in order to become a millionaire. And hopefully, if nothing else, debt-free. And potentially even a debt-free millionaire. And it's not that hard. It really isn't. And we're going to walk you through all the different steps to get you there. So first off, today is a somewhat touchy topic that we've talked about a little bit over time because I've given a little bit of my experience in this. I am a divorced father, now remarried. So I have a ex-wife, I have a wife, and I have the kids that I share with both women. I have 4 kids biologically that I helped create, and then I have 2 that I am helping raise. So this is a touchy situation because it is such a hard thing when talking about divorce, but we're also going to be talking about marriage and preparation for marriage, especially for all those listening that are youth or young enough to, or not married yet. So this is a great topic for everyone to hear, including those that are divorcees and those that are married, because we're going to go over a lot of touchy subjects. Sorry, my throat is starting to clog up right now. But I want to make sure that you are ready for what might come in the future and ways of stopping certain things from coming in the future. So let's go over what marriage is. Marriage is it's a cultural recognition, a union between 2 people. That's what it's become. It used to be a religious recognition of a union. But as for the US, we've taken a lot of the religion out of it. At the same time, a lot of people have kept religion into it. And interesting enough, the more you keep religion into your marriage, the stronger your relationship will be, and the more likely you will stay married. So let's see some examples of marriages that don't last long because, well, they're not based on the foundation of one, mutual respect, and also a relationship with God as well. And I'm not going to be talking a lot about spiritual things. I'm giving you some examples. So right now, the biggest example of divorces that go on is Hollywood. No one can disagree. Hollywood has a divorce like every other day. There is literally a divorce every other day, and they get nasty. Talk about like Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston. That was a horrible one. That was a big one. Sorry, not Brad Pitt. It was someone before him, and then someone before him. Or you can mention like any celebrity, and they've all gotten divorced. Some that have not, that I have a lot of respect for some. Actually, I'm not going to go through names, but there are some that have stayed married. There have also been some that have questionable marriage relationships, and we won't go into those. But this is Hollywood. Hollywood destroys everything and says that they're creating so many great things. What they are, they're creating great pictures. But if you look at their track record, Hollywood destroys more than it actually creates. Marriages, 2 years and someone gets divorced. The marriages never last long. And why is it? Again, because it's not built upon a solid foundation of respect of the person. It's more of a lust for the person or a physical or, physical attraction. Visual and physical attraction. These are the types of things that will lead you to divorce. What it also does? Money. Money is a big thing, and that's why we're talking about this, because it has everything to do with the finances of life. Divorce is not a happy thing. There are no winners most of the time. Sometimes there's one spouse that gets over the other one and gets everything, but most of the time, both parties suffer. And you know who suffers even more? It's the children that are attached to the divorce. So if you can get out of going through a divorce, go to a counselor, please. Go to a spiritual leader, please. Do anything possible to get it. And here's the big thing. Open your eyes. If you are leaving your spouse for another person that you're dating or interested in, that statistically, that will end the same way it started. So if you cheat on your wife with another woman, or if you're a woman and cheat on your husband with another man, it's going to end, that relationship will end the exact same way because you're used to it. It's a normal thing. If you're someone that does not allow that into your heart and into your mind, you're more likely not to go through that. So just putting that out there. We're going to go over a lot more of this and the statistics behind all this as we go. So this is a big thing. This is a point when you get married, financials are no longer hers and mine. They can't be. Legally, they don't exist. There's no wall between hers and mine. When something happens inside the house, who's going to pay for it? There is no hers and mine. If someone loses their job, there's no hers and mine. One person's going to be out of the job. So is everything hers and nothing belongs to him? Or vice versa? Is everything his and nothing belongs to the women? I mean, you want to talk about women's rights? This is the biggest destruction of women's rights, is when, say, the woman loses her job or cannot have a job for any reason, and then everything becomes his. Does that make sense? Would you want everything to be his because you weren't working because of medical issues or you lost your job? No, you wouldn't. That would create a huge rift between the two of you. Marriage is, as I said before, it's a union between two people. It makes no sense to put that barrier already in place before you even get married. So let's go over a few things that are essential for us to learn about. And that starts off with this. What is this? This is dating. This is courting. This is talking to someone, becoming their friend, getting to know them. Yes, marriage is a great thing, but it's down the line. It is not the first thing that happens or goes through a person's mind when they start getting interested in somebody else. So they start doing small things for that person or showing interest in that person. That's what dating is. It creates a small but solid foundation of which you will build your marriage on. So there's all different types. One thing you want to do, you don't want to just be just you and them for a long period of time, never going out with friends, never introducing that person to anyone. Because one, you're going to be proud of being the person you're dating, but also you can't see how they respond to other people. So the whole thing with dating, the reason why we date, and hopefully date for a good amount of time, I mean, not saying years, but a year at least. The reason why you date is because you want to get to know this person and you want to see them through all the seasons of life. You want to see them in the winter, you want to see them in the spring, you want to see them in the summer, you want to see them in the fall, you want to see them in autumn, and you want to see them in winter again. And the reason why you want to do that is because people change. They might put a facade up and you might be in love with that facade, but those facades come down. You know what a facade is? It's a fake appearance that they give. But that appearance will come down. And if that appearance comes down, you're going to see the real person behind that person. You might actually say, oh, I know this person so well. You know diddly squat, unless you're with them long enough. You might get married after 3 months and you're going to find out you have no idea who this person is. How did I marry you? That is a common phrase for people who don't get to know the person that they're going to be marrying, or even cohabitating a place with. Never jump into a relationship or move into with a person that you don't know. For one thing, they could be a serial killer. That's an extreme, but it's true. They could be. They could also be very controlling. That's not extreme, because that happens every day. And that could happen to you. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. Either one can be very controlling these days. So you want to get to know them, not just yourself, but you also want to bring them in front of your friends so your friends can give you feedback, because you will be blind. Love blind. You're going to be lovesick. You're going to be everything. You're going to put blinders on that you will not see what's happening in front of you, because you want to love this person. And because you want to love this person, you're going to allow justification, rationalizing what they're doing. And so you need to have a second opinion. Family and friends, those are the two people you need this person to spend time with, because you want them to get to know you. And how you do this? How do you spend time and go out and get coffee? Go out and get drinks. Go out and have dinner. Or forget the spending money. Go out and go for a walk. Go out and go to the beach and go swimming. Go out and do things that will allow you to get to know this person. Go to classes with them. Oh, that's a big one. Go to classes, whether it's at church or whether it's a financial class, whether it's a pre-marriage class, whether it's an academic class, doesn't matter. That's where you're going to see who this person is. Are you going to see that they're actually going to follow through with the class? Are they going to be responsive to the class? Are they going to get their work done? Oh, but that doesn't really matter. Yes, it does. Because the same way they treat that class, or the same way they treat your family, or the same way they treat their family, they're going to treat you. You can't justify that. You can't rationalize it off. It will happen. So you want to know this person inside and out. You want to know what's in their heart, what's in their mind, and a lot more than their physical. This is the lowest priority, is getting to know how they look. The biggest thing is to know their heart and their mind. You know that, and you will make a huge difference in the longevity of your marriage or even your relationship. Okay. Another thing. I have a lot of friends that say, hey, yeah, we're just living together and we're probably not going to get married ever. Well, here's the thing. There is no commitment there. Marriage is a commitment. Putting a ring on your finger is a commitment. It's a soft commitment, but it's still a commitment. The more commitment that you have, the more you see that this person is actually realistic or is going to stick around for the longevity, that relationship is going to last. Someone that will not commit is someone that will not commit to you. It's the truth. Statistically, if they cannot commit to a relationship and being able to be seen by everyone as having that relationship and not hiding anything, and even committing that committed relationship, they will not be committed to you. They're committed to themselves. Oh, I'm not the marrying type. Yes, that's all about you. That's not about the other person. If you're not the marrying type, then you're probably not the dating type either. You're the person that people have fun with and then leave. And you will never find satisfaction in life until you find the place where you can actually settle down, find the person that you want to be with the rest of your life, and enjoy marriage. Enjoy that time together. So what does that do? That brings up a lot of questions. What do you do before you get to the marriage part? Okay, so this is supposed to be your happiest moment in life. Something that strengthens you and that you don't want to break ever in the future. Now, I'm not going to talk about divorce yet, but I do want to actually say this, that there are some times where you have to leave the person. In times of abuse, in times of control, in times that the other person leaves you. So there are some things that you cannot control, and there are times that it is understandable that you need to leave that situation, especially if things are not getting better. If things are abusive, you need to walk out that door. If the person ever lays their hand on you, meaning they smack you around, they hit you, or anything like that on purpose, yeah, you need to walk out that door. You do not need to justify that ever. There is someone out there for you that will love you. Abuse is never okay. Okay, so me saying that was because I didn't want to forget about that. Now remember, everything that I'm saying is actually written in the book and then some. There's so much more that I'm actually saying because I don't have enough time. This is actually a long chapter, but it goes over everything when it comes to this. Okay, so what are some of the things that you need to do before getting in this relationship? Okay, ask questions. This is why you are going on these dates. You need to ask questions, lots of questions, and not just asking them verbally, but asking them through experiences. Here are just some of the questions you need to ask. Well, you know what? I'm going to hold off that. They're mixed in with a lot of financial questions. Let's go over some things that happen with marriage. Okay. If you marry someone too quick, you may not understand the attributes of them. One attribute that you really need to know. I mean, this is number one, top priority. Actually, there's two things. One, where's a person's priority in life? If it is in business, and this is coming from a guy that lost a lot of time with his family and jeopardized his first marriage by the amount of time he put into work and this is why I changed it, even back when I was married, the first time. How much time are they going to spend at work? Are they a workaholic? Are they someone that can kick back and be much like you? If you're a workaholic, can you kick back and release work at the end of the day? I mean, I used to work until like midnight every day and then wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start going again with work. And then when I had the kids there, I would turn my time to the kids. But here's the thing. If you don't change that when you get married, you will end your marriage right before it begins. The more time you spend on your work or other things, football especially, gambling especially, any kind of sport, doesn't matter what it is, anything that brings you away from your family, whether it be work or whether it be sports or whether it be anything, that's what's going to tear your marriage apart. If you have a love for money over your relationship, that will tear you apart. So the reason why I'm putting this out there is because of this one topic, and that's children. At some point, if you get married, you will most likely have children. Some people are not able to have children, and that's why there's IVF, or there's other things that people go through in order to have children. Because most people that get married want to have children. They want to have 1, 2. I plead with you, please have 3 or 4. Seriously, our population is dropping. We are so going into the red. And at some point, some people might think, oh, that's going to be great for the environment. But no, it's actually not going to be great for the environment. Because what happens to people when there's less money? If there's less money, there's less taxes that's coming into the government. And this is fine. I'm just talking about the financials. If there's less money going into the government, you're not going to be taken care of when you become 65 or 67 or 70 or 75, because they have to raise the rate because there's not enough money to take care of you. What happens to the government, or what happens to the environment? The government can't do all the programs for the environment if there's not enough tax money going in. So do you raise taxes? Do you want to pay more to the government, or have a few more children who can go out and preserve the environment? So there's a lot of different things that you might say, oh, we don't want to have children. But think about it. Really think about it. Children are the greatest blessing you will ever receive. They're the greatest joy that you will receive, even beyond marriage. Because marriage is one thing. Children is an add-on to that one thing. So marriage is actually, children is children plus a marriage. As long as you don't get divorced. That is your greatest joy. Your family is your greatest joy you'll ever experience. Careers will not substitute that. Nothing will substitute a family, the joy it brings, the love it brings, the relationships it brings. It is the best thing you'll ever have in life, is a family. A strong family. Husband, wife, children. It is amazing. Okay, so, and I bring up this fact because most couples want to have children. Some cannot have children. Talk about it before you get married. Do you want to have children? Can you have children? There might be things that the guy does not know. The wife can't have a child, or vice versa. The guy might not be able to do things, and because the children, because of their bodies or whatnot, they can't have children. Okay, so how about this? This is another topic that's really interesting. When to have children. When do you want to have your children? Do you want to have them early in life or late in life? Now, here's my secret. This is how I have enjoyed marriage and family and everything. And, you know, I wouldn't change it for anything. I had my children young. I was 23. My wife was 20 when my first child came out, my daughter, who's actually just leaving the nest now. She just graduated. I was actually supposed to have 6 more years, and then all the kids would be out, and I'd be out traveling the world on retirement and such. Well, life has a lot of changes. Just need to know about that. And so I raised my children, and then I added on 2 more with my second marriage. Now, raising a child can be expensive. They say the median cost is $6,000 a year. But, and that's the average year. There's not, when they're babies, they're going to be having a lot more because they need diapers, they need certain types of food. Babies get a little more expensive. And that's where it comes to about $13,000 in a year. But then it comes down to like $6,000 a year and goes on for basically the rest of the time. Right now they say that it's $230,000 per child for 18 years to raise them. It's really not that much. It's about $10,000. Well, no, I said, let's see, 18. I think the last time we talked about marriage and children, it was $180,000, which is $10,000 a year. The higher end was $233,000, which is still about $13,000 to $15,000 a year. So it's really not that horrible to do it. But you want to talk about it. You want to talk about if you're going to have children and how you're going to afford that. If you both work, it's fairly easy. It really is. It fairly easy. Now, they might need childcare if you don't have the one spouse staying at home. I was a stay-at-home dad for a while. So just so you know, I come from complete experience in that. The next thing you need to talk about, this is a big one. This is the second biggest thing behind children and your relationship, is finances. As I said, it is no longer yours and his money, or yours and her money. It is your money together. It is a collective. Because when one person's not working, you can't say this is all one person's money. If you both have careers, great. Someone could lose their job, and what? Does that other person have complete control? No. You're hurting yourself by being selfish and keeping your money to yourself. Or you're being scared about your relationship, which you probably shouldn't get into that relationship if you're that scared that you need to have your finances separate than your spouse. So here are some statistics, and this is actually interesting. This came from TD Ameritrade. Okay, it's a financial firm, but this is what they found. Found that 41% of divorced Gen Xers and 29% of boomers say they ended their marriage in a disagreement about what? Money. Money was the disagreement that ended their marriage. So if that is something that's destroying 41% of Gen Xers, which most of you guys are going to be Gen Xers, if it's destroying that relationship, 41% of divorced Gen Xers are saying it's because of money, you need to get on the same page as your spouse. And you need to even question marrying a person if you can't get on the same page. Now, I'm not saying that money should be the number one, but if it is a contentious issue, or if it is a secretive issue, or if you have other struggles with this between the two of you, you need to question if you want to get married. Okay, so here you go. Here's the first one. What are your goals and aspirations in life? Then, how will you reach them? Ask that with your partner. If you're on completely different planes, you need to either find a compromise or find different partners. Just saying. Your intimate life might be nice. The physical attraction might be nice. But if you can't get on the same page, you're going to hate it. You're going to hate your marriage because you're not on the same page. Will you use a budget each month? Please, this needs to be intentional. You need to use a budget. You need to be able to understand where the money goes and how you're spending it. And with that being said, if your spouse can't do it, you need to find a compromise of how you're going to do it. So just putting that out there. Also, will you use cash or debt to buy things? You're going to buy, if you want to go buy a car, are you going to use cash or debt? Are you going to buy a house? Cash or debt? An ATV, cash or debt? If you don't have the cash for an ATV, don't buy it. You don't need to. It comes later in life. You don't have to have it right now. If you can't buy cash for toys, don't buy it. Again, my opinion, but my opinion based on history and fact. Okay, so next one. Are you a frivolous spender? Are they a frivolous spender? Do they like going on shopping sprees? This could be very detrimental. Again, physical attraction is not enough to make it worth it. Do you conserve electricity, utilities? Does your spouse conserve electricity and utilities? Okay, so if you have to go behind your spouse and turn off all the lights because you're worried about the electric bill, there's an issue. If your spouse isn't turning off the lights, a lot of times it's just because they don't care. Maybe it's because they're too busy. Can you help that? Can you compromise with them? Seriously? Put in sensors in the house. If that's a compromise, do that. because you don't want to make that an argument between the two of you, or just be willing to go behind them every day and flip off lights. It's just that way. Will you have children right away? This is a big one. Are you going to wait till you're financially secure? Because you're never going to be financially secure, because you're always going to have reasons that you'll justify not having children and putting it off. Remember, I had my kids when I was young. I forgot to finish that conversation. When I had them young, I had full energy. I'm 42, I still have full energy, and my kids are still growing up. I'm still able to play football with my son. If I was 60, there'd be a question there. Would I be able to roughhouse with them? There'd be a question there. Am I being selfish by waiting till I'm older, and then all of a sudden I can't do all the experiences that I want to with my son or daughter? It's up to you. Having them earlier is not a bad thing. You do have to find a way of paying that extra $13,000 to raising your kids, or down to $6,000. But at the same time, you're going to be a lot more energetic and a lot stronger to roughhouse, to play with, to run after. Kids, when they get on their feet, they take off. You better be willing to jump up and run to a staircase before they leap into the open. Okay, I'm going to skip a ton of these. I'm only going to hit a few of them. But here's another big one. Are you going to do public, private, or homeschool? What is your priority? Are you going to send them to public school because, you don't have the funding for it? Could do that. It's not a horrible place to go. Are you going to send them into private because you have the funding for it? It's also a great thing. Truthfully, public school, private school, homeschooling, when it comes to the academic achievement of the student, it does not matter of which one they go to. It really doesn't. The truth is that it's on the student themselves. If the student has the drive, they will find a way to be successful at any of these. My son wanted to become homeschooling, or wanted to go into homeschooling. I said no, because he did not have the drive to do anything. He would do the bare minimum, and then he'd be on his screen all day. At least if he's at school, he's not on the screen all day. And he has instruction. When I'm working, when his mom's working, he's actually able to have instruction. So those are some good questions to go over, schooling for your kids, and everything to do with the education for them. Okay, next one. How will you spend money on your parents or relatives when they get sick or they get older? This is a big thing because this goes back to a cultural thing. A lot of cultures bring their families into their house and take care of their parents when they get older. Are you going to do that? Is your spouse going to do that? You need to know. Again, these are just a few of the questions, and there are a ton of questions. I did actually ABC to Z, and then I had to go into the double, letters in order to fulfill to write down all of these questions. Okay, some next ones. How often will you go on vacations? That seems like a really petty question. No, it's really not. Vacations can be expensive. Are you going to fly or are you going to drive? We have 6 kids. There's 8 of us. It's perfect for our minivan, and we drive everywhere because we can't afford it. We went to Disney World because we were able to save the money and pay cash for it and spend the time because we drove. If we flew, it would have been about $2,000 more plus, because then we'd have to rent a car also, and driving was fine for us. We were able to do it, and we were able to do it over spring break. It was a great spring break. Okay, so next one, emergency fund. Will you have an emergency fund, and how will you save for one? Remember, you should have 3 to 6 times the amount that you spend each month. What are your entrepreneurial roles and goals? What's your career goals? These are all questions to ask. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with my pictures. Okay, so before you pop the question, you need to pop these questions. You need to ask your future spouse to make sure you know who you're getting married to. Again, you want to see them in all seasons, including all seasons in relationships, in friendships, in if they're going to school, how they're doing in school. You can get married in school. That is a fine thing. There is nothing wrong with that. You just have to be able to financially afford it and go through all these questions so you know how it's going to work out. Okay, So, because these, once you put these on your finger, that is a commitment. And yes, people do break their commitments. People lose their names by going for a divorce. Sometimes it's needed, but other times it's not needed. And if it's not needed, and there's arguments or discussions about certain things, you can fix them. You see how the rings go around in a circle? It's because in some religions, some cultures, marriage does not end at death. It's an ongoing thing. And it will also have cycles. So as you go around the ring, you get back to the same place you were before. You're going to have ups and downs with your spouse. You're going to go around and you're going to have struggles and you're going to resolve them, and you're going to come back to the loving place. And then you're going to have issues and you're going to resolve them, and you're going to come back to the happy place. These are important symbols for marriage because of exactly what they stand for. Is commitment for doesn't matter what happens, we're going to make it through this. And last question, when it gets to marriage, is where are you going to get married? That's a really important one. Where are you going to get married? Okay, so now we come to the marriage portion. So, marriage between a man and a woman, or between two partners. This is an essential part of society because it shows commitment between the two people. We need to be okay with getting married. Just because there's financial struggles, because there's things that get in our way, family members that might have issues, we need to find those out. We need to take off our blinders, our love blinders, and if that cannot be resolved, who are you going to be loyal to? Once you get married, it is not about you and your family and your spouse. It is between you and your spouse. That's it. There is no other relationship in that relationship. You and your spouse. You leave your parents to go with your spouse. And when your parents have issues with the person that you're married, and you've gone through the seasons and you've asked these questions, and you feel that you have not justified or rationalized anything of their behavior, they may not, your parents think the best of you. They might not think that your spouse is worthy of you. No, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. And if you believe that that person is worthy of you and that you are worthy of that person, then at that point, it doesn't matter what other people say. Now, if they bring up red flags, that's different. I'm not talking about that. But this is marriage. This is marriage. It's a commitment. It is you and your spouse basically saying, I want to live the rest of your life with you. Okay. This is what's great. Married life. Now, at some point, it goes from this and this to this. And that's when the baby comes. And yes, that can actually bring some struggles there as well. Having kids do bring some struggles. They bring really late nights and might bring frustrations and financial struggles. But they are so worth it. And so honor them by making sure that your marriage will last for a very, very long time, to death or beyond, depending on which culture or religion you're at. Okay, so now we have to come to the not so good part. Oh, no, one more of the great parts. Okay, so family is the best thing. You'll never find anything better than having a good, solid, strong foundation and a strong family. Okay, but then comes this. Divorce rarely is a win for anyone. Both spouses suffer. The children suffer if you have children. So this is why you want to prepare previously, before you got married, to make sure that this is the person that you actually want to spend time with for the rest of your life, and again, into eternity. So if you are finding yourself struggling, then you might actually want to find a counselor to talk to you, a spiritual leader to talk to you, somebody to talk to you, to talk to both sides. Again, there is no win-win in divorce. Divorce is a lose-lose. Let's go over some of the major things about it. Okay, so say you make a good amount of money. You make $120,000 a year. Your spouse is a school teacher. He makes $50,000 a year. Did you know that you're going to be paying a lot of half of your savings, everything that you've saved up together, real estate, anything that you've saved up together, 50-50. 50-50. There's no way around that. 50% to you, 50% for your spouse. If you have a house, you're either going to be buying the house from them, or you're going to be selling the house to them, or you're going to be selling it all together. Cars, every single knick-knack in the house becomes divided. Everything becomes 50-50. So if you think, oh man, they don't get me financially and I could do so much better without them, yeah, you're going to be suffering because you're going to lose half of it, and then you're going to be paying child support as well. If you actually think that another spouse, like if you are becoming attracted to another man or a woman, think again, because again, that relationship will end the same way it began. If it was an affair where it began, it'll be an affair where it ends. One of you will most likely. Okay, let me just talk about this. So one of the big things, and I'm not going to go into the intimacy part. It's actually a section in this chapter, and it's very clean. It's just statistics and such. But if you think that you are attracted to a person and that's not your spouse, it's called taboo. It's the not allowed, and it's the fun factor, the fear factor. It's all these different things that give you a drive and say, oh, I really like this. That's what an affair is. When you cheat on your spouse for someone else, it's because your spouse supposedly has become, oh, it's boring. My relationship's not going anywhere. Well, whose fault is that? That's yours. That is completely yours. It's also theirs, but it's yours. If you say that another person is more exciting, yeah, remember, every relationship before marriage is exciting. The taboo is exciting. And it always ends horribly. If you have an affair, you're not going to have a very good relationship. Statistically, 10% of those affairs actually work out? That's how low it is. People get divorced 5 times because they are all getting into those relationships in bad ways. So I'm not going to go any more into that because that's only one portion. Some people get divorced because of arguments, because of financials, because of other things. There are other things that split people apart. I'm just saying that that's a big one that you need to be really worried about, because nothing except for abuse or really bad toxic relationships are worth losing half of everything, because it's not just your financials that you lose half of. You lose half the time with your kids, and your kids will become your greatest joy in life. So if this happens, then you need to get help. You need to find someone to help you get your relationship back on course. This is the most important thing. Your relationship is the most important thing. Again, if there's alternative things out there, you need to get rid of those things and focus back on your marriage. No relationship, no outside influence is worth the destruction of your marriage. There's no question there. 100%, there's no question there, because of things that it does. Destroys your children. Mentally, it destroys your children. Their mental state is very hurt when you go through divorce. Divorce is not about you. It never is about you. If it's, again, abuse, they're most likely abusing your children, and it's a good thing to get away. When you get divorced, it actually affects your children, and this is the time that you spend with your children. The finances, you're going to be, like I was saying, okay, so say you make $120,000 and your spouse makes $50,000. All of a sudden, you have to pay a lot more child support, because the idea in court, the judge wants both households to be able to act similar to each other. They don't want huge swings between going to dad's house and going to mom's house, and going to dad's house and going to mom's house, or vice versa. They want them to be equalized. So a spouse, an ex-spouse, could be paying $3,000 a month for their children. Yeah, literally $3,000 a month, even more sometimes. If your spouse does not have work, then there's also alimony that they'll add on there. So you could be spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month for this divorce, depending on how much you make. You make $20,000 and they make $5,000, you're most likely going to be paying them $3,000 to $5,000 a month because of that. So for that's another big reason why there's no reason why divorce, that's the reason why divorce is not worth it. Okay, the next thing, what about transporting your kids? Yeah, I'm going to go over a few of them. I'm just going to mention them. Transportation for your kids. Going back and forth, that's a headache. It needs to be put into your supplemental plan for raising your children, so your parenting plan. Also holidays, who's going to spend time with family? Are you going to have Christmas all by yourself because your kids are with your ex-spouse? Or are you going to split Christmas in half? That's what we did. Or what about New Year's? What about Thanksgiving? So next one, college. How are you going to pay for it? Are you going to pay a third, she's going to pay for a third, and the kid's going to pay a third? Might be. Or maybe it's 50-50. Who knows? Healthcare. Who's going to be taking care of healthcare for them? Locations. Most of the time, neither spouses can leave their local area, or at least the what they call the residential custodian, which I'm the residential custodian. So I'm stuck in Kansas City, in a suburb of Kansas City, for the next 14 years. Because actually my youngest, from my wife's kids, she actually has the point in the parenting plan that she cannot leave our city. And so I had the same thing. So both of us, I thought I only had 6 years left. I now have 14 years to stay in the same city, which I'm okay with because I like this city. But that's a lot of control that's taken away. Residential custodian is basically where the residence of the kid is. So when they sign up for school, when they sign up for sports, any of these things, it's based on the residential custodian. The next one, outside of the kids, is your finances. Yeah, sorry, you might be in a very lucrative career and your spouse might not be in a very lucrative career, and you're going to be paying for it. Locations, again, if you have an ex-spouse and kids, you're probably going to be staying somewhere close to that. Now, you might break that and you'll get less time with your kids because the courts will actually reward both of you 50-50 if you stay in the same area. If one spouse leaves, you're going to get less time with your kids. And I couldn't live with less time with my family. Also, relationships. Sorry to say, your relationship is going to be even worse with your spouse. It is rare. It is very rare that the relationship actually gets better after the marriage. Very rare. So mine didn't get better. It basically normalized. I'm very friendly with my spouse. We're not as friendly as we used to be, but we are friendly with each other. So here's one statistic that I also want to bring up because I'm running out of time. Of course, I always run out of time. Okay, so out of every first marriage, 40 to 50% fail. Okay, just putting that statistic out. That's really hard, but that's the truth right now, statistically. The second marriage, 60% of them fail. So if you already had your first marriage fail, you were like the 40%. Now you're in the 60% of those with second marriages, they fail. Third marriages, 75% of them fail. And the statistic continues to get worse after that. I mean, there's people that have like 8 to 10 marriages and they all get worse, like worse statistics. They're more likely to fail at that point because it's so commonplace. Okay, I'm not going to go over marriage again. I'm not going to go over intimacy. These are all parts that are part of this. Actually, one thing with intimacy is, and this is very important, those that wait to have physical relationships or physical intimacy with their spouse, this is the statistic. They have a higher relationship satisfaction, 20% better relationship satisfaction if they wait to have sex before marriage. So they have it after marriage. Better communication patterns, 12%. Less consider getting a divorce, 22%. If they waited till after marriage to have physical intimacy, and they have better physical intimacy by over 15% if they wait. Now, the statistic even gets better if the person is a virgin when they get married. So someone that's never had intimacy with somebody else, all of these statistics skyrocket at that point. Wow. So that's really interesting. Some people these days want to say, oh no, you need to be able to live with that person before you marry them. Actually, that hurts your relationship. that it will actually get worse for your relationship. That's just one of the statistics that's talking about here. But I'm going to let you go through all the statistics and the book to hear more about this. This is very interesting, all these things that we bring up, but it's all essential before you get married and before you start bringing kids into this world. Make sure you're on the same page, because this is the most important thing. Your family is the most important thing. It'll bring you through so much grief and stress and everything else because you have a strong relationship with your family and strong relationship with your extended family as well when you get married. So this is so important. This is why we're bringing it up. And this is all about finances, and yet nothing about finances. Marriage is not about finances. It just has a lot of finance built into it. So try to get on the same page. Be on the same page. If you're not, consider what you're going to do with this spouse. If you're actually going to marry them, or this partner, are you going to marry them? If you can't get on the same page, financially, emotionally, all these different things, how they're treating other people, yes, you need to be on the same page, or you need to reconsider who you're marrying. I'm just putting that out there. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. If you're in those kind of relationships that are not good relationships and not solid and not strong and not have a good foundation, you need to consider yourself, and you need to consider possible future children. Might not be the best relationship, and you need to get out right now. Right now, because it's a lot easier if you take off the Band-Aid right away instead of waiting and waiting and waiting and justifying and justifying and justifying. Find that right person. They are out there. They're out there for everyone. Even those that don't get married, there are reasons, but there's always someone out there for you. You just have to be willing to wait for them. It might be waiting a while, but I hope that you're able to find the right spouse, that you are able to talk these things over before you get married, so that you are ready for a great relationship for the rest of your life, and depending on your culture, depending on religion, for all eternity. That's what's important. That is the most important thing in life. Money is not the most important thing in life. Financials can go away, but you have a strong foundation, a strong marriage, a strong family. Everything else can burn to the ground. They can be destroyed by a tornado, destroyed by a hurricane. As long as your family's safe, that's what's important. And have a strong family relationship, and a tornado couldn't even take a life, and you will still stay strong. So, now that we've gotten that one out of the way, yes, because that was a very, not controversial, but very emotional topic. And so stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to be changing completely. We're going to be talking about recessions. Woohoo, fun. Actually, we're going to make this interesting. We're going to make this very interesting, because remember, I've gone through 2 recessions. I lost my job in the first recession. I'm now booming in the second recession. So stay tuned with me. I'm going to give you more information as we come, and we're going to make sure that you can become a debt-free millionaire. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.